It's 1:30 p.m. in Lagos, 12:30 p.m. in London, and we're bringing you markets analysis and insights on business incorporated live from Channels Television Lagos. And here's what's coming up on the program. Zimbabwe announces extension of US dollar use until 2030. The 20th AGOA Forum kicks off in Johannesburg, South Africa. And can youth entrepreneurship be the right response to Nigeria's economic challenges? Welcome to the program. I'm Will Ibong. Let's kick off with the markets, shall we? First up, major equities in Africa, where mostly positive sentiments, well, mixed at intraday. We see Nigeria and South Africa trading in opposite directions. Nigeria was down marginally at intraday, 0.03%. We see on the screen there, 0.03% down. South Africa, however, more than 0.5% up at intraday. Let's look at Egypt. Closed yesterday for the week, but it was closed in the green, in green territory, up 0.92% for the week. And Kenya down 1.2% in yesterday's trading session. We're going to bring in Samson Owolabi, Associate, Research and Portfolio Management, Zcrest Wealth, to give us what's happening at the NGX, what's moving stocks, what's driving sentiments. Good afternoon, Samson. It's good to have you on the program.
Good afternoon, Will. Thanks for having me once again.
Samson, tell us what's happening now. We're seeing this fear come back to the market. Well, profit taking is setting after the high, the all-time high we hit, 70,000 mark there. What's going on right now at intraday? What are investors eyeing? What stocks are they eyeing?
Okay, so thank you very much. Well, concerning that, what we're just saying is that, as I said, the buying interest and also the sellers that we're saying is on market activities. For now, the market currently, we are seeing Interpro, we are seeing ABC Trans, we are seeing Royal X, and we are seeing Unity Bank and Coversin. They're like the major stocks that investors are really like having this kind of a buying sentiment for currently at the market. And we're also seeing some sell-offs in stock tickers like Charms, Tantalizers, Prestige, Darcoms, and Name Insurance. So what we're just saying is just the forces of investors trying to play in the market, looking for fundamentalist sound tickers, and also trying to use the information that we got from the earnings release to use it as a benchmark for making their decision and also for targeting stocks to buy. So those are the major factors that we're seeing in the markets.
So no sell-offs in MTN that started yesterday. Boa Cement, what's happening to those big guys?
Okay, so concerning the likes of Boa Cement and MTN, we can see that it's just based on let's say this kind of market sentiment concerning the earnings results. So those are the major factors that have been driving the tickers and those tickers, and we've seen that they've also seen some kind of this uptrend in the stocks. But for me, I still believe that these tickers are still going to have a rebound. They might see a bit of sell-off right now based on investors trying to take profit, but I still believe that they're still going to see a rebound.
So how do you think the market's going to close today? Because it's, looking like, is it going to be positive? Is it going to be negative? It's marginal at the moment. It could tilt anywhere, Samson.
Well, the market is quite dynamic, and we can still see that might still see kind of like a positive close actually, but it's still something that you can't really decide right now, especially when we have this kind of the market sitting at the edge. So, but I still believe we can still see a positive closing today.
Thank you so much, Samson Owolabi, Associate Research and Portfolio Management, Zcrest Wealth, for joining us on Business Incorporated.
Thank you,
Now let's go over to the Middle East, where most major equities were closed on Thursday, except in the UAE, where stocks traded positive at intraday. We see the Abu Dhabi index up 0.16%, Dubai also up 0.53%. Elsewhere, Saudi and Qatar were closed Thursday. They were closed in the green for the week. That's a good one for those stock exchanges. Now we scoot over to Europe, where the Chevron is in talks for a 15-year LNG supply contract to Europe. And this could mean that the region may have to rely on imports longer than previously thought. For more, we're joined by Deutsche Welle's Cassandra Sant in Berlin. Cassandra, what are the details of this deal?
Thanks for having me, Will. So an important thing to underline here is that this is a 15-year LNG deal that's been in the works. And it shows a shift over the last year and a half or so in Europe. Now, customers here want medium-term deals, where previously short-term deals of up to 5 years were more sought after. That's likely a lesson from last winter when the sanctions on Russia meant that many energy companies here had to turn to the so-called spot market, which folks can think of as much more volatile. It's like kind of trying to buy an airline ticket at the last minute. You might get lucky and get a deal, or you might get very unlucky and have to buy a ticket at a really elevated price. So that's what happened to a lot of energy companies here last winter. That's one big reason why heating and energy here were so expensive. And I should note that this isn't the only medium-term deal we've seen recently between Europe and an LNG supplier. Shell and Total Energies from the UK and France, respectively, both agreed on two separate 27-year LNG supply deals into Europe from Qatar. Chevron, an American company, said in its deal it will supply most of the LNG from the United States. U.S. LNG exports hit their second highest level on record in October, with Europe remaining the principal buyer.
How did Europe get to this point?
So the war in mainland Europe is one important factor here. For a long time, countries like Germany were really using cheap fossil fuels, especially gas, from Russia to fuel their economies. That obviously changed after the full-scale war broke out and sanctions were slapped on Russia. Right now, traders are saying that in the short term, European gas looks well supplied. We're not hearing these alarm bells that we were hearing before last winter, for example. So that means there is less risk of volatility. But if there's a cold winter in either Europe or Asia, that's a risk to supply because more supply will be needed. And according to analysts, it's also a geopolitical risk as well. But an underlying factor here that I want to point out is the energy transition and a possible realization from Europeans that things are not going as well as expected. This comes as several European governments rolled back some green policies, citing higher costs and economic concerns. A rep from Chevron has said that the initial conversations with partners in Europe were around short-period contracts because of the planned energy transition. But now, according to some Chevron analysts, there is now more of an interest in longer contract periods, which could signal a delayed energy transition to greener sources in Europe.
Now let's just check in on the markets, Cassandra. What are investors looking out for the close of this week?
European markets seem to be happy on the opening following Asian shares advancing on Friday. Not to get into a game of telephone here, but the Asian shares seem to be rallying after Wall Street roared higher on bets that the market-rattling Fed interest rate hikes are coming to an end. Staying with Asia briefly, the Hong Kong Hang Seng added 2.6%, while the Shanghai Composite was up 0.7%. Tokyo was closed for a holiday. Back to Europe on the open, the DAX was up 1.5%, the CAC 40 was up 1.9%, while the FTSE 100 over in the UK was up just a tick at about 0.2%.
Thanks, Cassandra, for that update. We'll look forward to next week. Now to the US, where the Nasdaq 100 futures slipped early on Friday after Apple issued its latest quarterly results. Futures linked to the tech-heavy index slid 0.31%, while S&P 500 futures dropped 0.14%. We're seeing futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, however, in the green territory, marginally 0.02%. Apple fell 3% after the iPhone maker issued a weak revenue outlook for the December quarter. But before we go, let's check out yesterday's close with Maria Bird.
The U.S. stock market soared on Thursday as the Dow Jones was up at 1.7%, the S&P 500 up at 1.8%, and the heavy-tech Nasdaq led the way at 1.9% up. It is clear that U.S. investors are excited about the upswing. It is also clear investors are watching to see how the Federal Reserve and the news on Wednesday allowed many investors to see that Thursday would be a good day with corporate earning results being released. It is also clear to see that the Federal Reserve is not planning to interest rate hike increases anytime soon. They are looking to keep interest rates steady. This has had many investors hopeful that we will see a stronger closing out of the year 2023.
Thanks, Maria. Now to South Africa, where the 20th Africa Growth and Opportunity Act AGOA Forum has kicked off in Johannesburg. South Africa's Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Mr. Ibrahim Patel, hosted a delegation of African trade ministers. Patel says African nations should strive to get more from AGOA. The Africa Growth and Opportunity Act is a United States of America trade program that provides eligible countries in sub-Saharan Africa with preferential access to the U.S. markets. Our correspondent, Innocent Samosa in South Africa, brings us more from Johannesburg.
The theme of this year's gathering is partnering to build a resilient, sustainable and inclusive AGOA to support economic development, industrialization and quality job creation. As a flagship program under the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act AGOA, the event seeks to promote trade and economic cooperation between the United States and the African nations. South Africa's Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Mr. Ibrahim Patel, is playing host to a distinguished delegation of African trade ministers.
And so as our US friends look to the African continent, we want them to see this as a major place of procurement, not just from one country, but across the continent.
During the opening ceremony, the Commissioner for Trade and Industry of the African Union Commission, Mr. Albert Mochanga, stressed the importance of African nations maximizing the benefits offered by AGOA for structural transformation.
One of the key issues will be for you to consider the recommendations from the senior officials. So I'll be back when you go into that document.
Head of Trade for Business and Commercial Banking, Standard Bank Group, Philip Mayberg, says Africa should seize every trade opportunity.
I think it's always good for African economies to look at all options in terms of trade opportunities, but it doesn't have to come at the cost of another one. The opportunity that we have as an African continent is we've got the opportunity to look at trade opportunities both towards the east, towards the west, and also importantly within the continent. I think AGOA forms an important part of that landscape.
Made in Africa Business Expo forms part of 2023 AGOA Forum. It is here where I caught up with some Nigerian entrepreneurs.
Okay, well, all the way from Oka, Anambra State, Nigeria, I wish and I pray, and I know it's achievable, to get a bit of tax-free, to get our products on all the shelves, all the shops in America, even in South Africa, like ShopRite and all that. So that's what I'm praying to achieve.
In this program, I hope to have connections and have possibly more customers that may need my products that I can send to them. In fact, I want to send to America, not only America, all over the world.
Exhibitors have gathered here with a common goal to access the US market, subsequently create long-lasting partnerships. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Samosa, Channels Television News.
Entrepreneurs are definitely vital to a country's economic growth. Coming up next, a look at the youth entrepreneurial landscape in Nigeria. That conversation right around the corner. This is Business Incorporated. Thanks for staying with us. As I mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship plays a vital role in the economic growth of a nation, or in Nigeria, a country known for its vibrant entrepreneurial spirit. The landscape is constantly evolving. However, the country is going through one of the toughest times in its economic history. The value of the naira is falling, loss of jobs. That's to name a few. And the cost of living has skyrocketed, yet no significant increase in earning power for most of the populace, and with over 60% of them below the age of 30. Omar Chebuka, Chairperson, 2023 Walter Carrington Symposium, joins us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Omar. It's good to have you on the show.
Hi, good afternoon, Will. It's lovely to be here.
Great. Omar, in light of all these economic challenges that most people are facing, the response that we've been seeing has been enormous. the Japa syndrome has been huge, and this is in order to make ends meet. Do you believe that that's the only option that young people have in Nigeria? Can you tell us if there's another option for young people to stay back in the country?
Well, I mean, for us, just as you mentioned, the youth population is over 60% in Nigeria right now, and we are over 200 million Nigerians. In reality, we can't all jabba. So one of the major things that we actually have as our duty is to make our home work. And the way that we can actually do this is through entrepreneurship, right? Many of us have skills. I mean, just going online, you will see so many, all the influencers that we have right now, all of these things are skills. And these ways, these are some of the things that people are doing so that they're able to make a living for themselves. So it's important that we're making a living through entrepreneurship. That's basically we're setting up businesses that would feed us. But then more importantly, it also allows us to create sustainable jobs for others. So it then solves several problems at the same time, you know, the problem of unemployment, the problem of the economy, at least as it affects us directly. And then at the end of the day, entrepreneurship benefits everyone. It benefits the government, it benefits the person doing it, and it benefits, as I said, literally everyone, investors too. So yes, I believe that entrepreneurship is one of the major ways that we as youths in Nigeria can actually make things work and survive despite the harsh economic challenges we're facing.
Omar, let's just be honest here. We know there's several challenges we're facing here. But we've seen that tech has been one of the ways that the youth have been driving. It's been a driving force behind Nigeria's entrepreneurial landscape. But as you previously mentioned, why should they be attracted to the idea of setting up a business in Nigeria anyways, when they know that the policies seem to be against them?
Okay, so the truth is, just as you said, yes, the challenges affect everyone. But at the end of the day, nothing in life is easy. Nothing good, especially in life, is easy. Even the JAPA issue, I mean, it doesn't come easily to everyone. But now this is the part where the government steps in and other stakeholders. For example, the US government is doing so many amazing things with Nigerian youths here. I'm one of the beneficiaries of the Carrington Youth Fellowship Network. Carrington Youth Fellowship Initiative. So this particular, we call ourselves Sci-Fi. So that's also an initiative of the US government. And through that, the US government is training Nigerian youths to get into the economy and actually do important things, to do sustainable things in different communities. And that's one of the ways that different stakeholders can actually come in to make things work for us here in Nigeria. We know that we can't do it on our own. Youths, no matter how many amazing ideas that we have, we actually need the support of our government, Nigeria. It's not enough for only the US government to be working. It's not enough for only the private sector to be working. The public sector needs to do a lot more. And just as I said earlier, at the end of the day, this benefits everyone. With our large population, it actually helps when everyone is working and everyone is making it possible for other people to also, gain benefits. The investors are getting back with our large population. The government is also benefiting, and we are all able to support this system. We're able to build the kind of infrastructures that we need. We're able to innovate and create sustainable jobs that help everyone at the end of the day. So, as I said, it's important that stakeholders, other stakeholders come in to support the youths in this. The government especially, and then also people within the private sector.
Okay, so you mentioned that, we know that entrepreneurship creates, gives room opportunities for people to create jobs. And you mentioned other stakeholders are coming, like the US government and other private organizations. We need the federal government of Nigeria to step in. But what about access to funds? We know that they're teeming youth with lots of bright ideas, but how easy is for them to access the funds they need, even if they have these bright ideas?
This is actually a very important question. So I know it's one of the things that I have faced as well as an entrepreneur. And the beauty of this, it's something that I have learned even within the Parenting Youth Fellowship, is that there are millions of opportunities available. And you wouldn't know this if you are not within the right networks, if you're not putting yourself out in a way that other people can actually find you, right? One of the ways that we're hoping to fix this, for example, is through the Walter Carrington Symposium that we're setting up. It's going to happen by the 5th of December this year. So for stuff like this, we have people that are coming together. We're bringing stakeholders, investors, government, everyone is coming together, and youths as well. We're coming together to have really important conversations that can allow us to make progress where this is concerned, and also help youths access the right kind of opportunities that will lead them to funds, right? There are so many ways that they can access funds right now. The Bank of Industry has many schemes. As I said, the US government has many schemes. There are so many, so many. I know that I have actually benefited from many too. So I really expect that if we're all able to come, just as I said, for opportunities, I mean, even YouTube actually has a lot of opportunities like this. If you come for the symposium, you'll be able to, like a lot of youth will be able to learn the kind of tools that they need, the skills that they need, and the opportunities, meet a lot of people that will help them, and make progress if they're interested in becoming entrepreneurs.
Okay, so let's say as someone like me, for example, decided to do what you've said, take your advice, where do I even start from? How was the first step to take? You know, many people are out there, many youths are out there, they don't even know the first step to take.
Yes, so in truth, these are part of the things that we are hoping to solve. Right? These are part of the things that we're hoping to solve. We know that it's not always easy to find your way when you just want to start. As I said, if you go online, there are many opportunities that are available. But the first step oftentimes is to talk to the right people, talk to the right persons, find people around you who are already doing it, and, get the advice that you need to do these kind of things. If we come in the symposium, that's part of the things that we are hoping to solve. Taking people through the right steps, one step at a time, because at the end of the day, you can't just jump into it. There are many businesses too that actually make this kind of opportunities available, no matter what kind of skills that you have. For artists, for example, you can actually take advantage of companies like Ragnida. For people who are playing in the tech space, there are other companies like MoneyPoint. There are really so many opportunities. And people in this space, a lot of youths like us, are willing to help other youths that are like us to come up, especially the ones that are still young, still within schools and all that. So all of these things are literally a step at a time, and we're hoping to handhold youths through this process once they come to the symposium, which is holding at Unilag this year by the 5th of December.
Thank you so much, Omar Chebuka, Chairperson 2023 Walter Carrington Symposium, for sharing your perspective on Business Incorporated this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Will, for the opportunity, and thanks to Channel 2.
Now we move on to other stories where the government of Zimbabwe has extended the use of the greenback for another 5 years after uncertainty over the initial 2025 deadline had curbed lending by banks and funding for long-term investments. Zimbabwe's decision to keep using US dollars until 2030 allows for policy consistency after previous currency turmoil eroded market confidence, and that's according to the country's central bank governor. In Zimbabwe, the US dollar is used for about 80% of transactions in the economy. Now that's a wrap on Business Incorporated for the week. I'm Will Ibong. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.